Right now I'm in vacation and therefore I'm sitting here in Italy between these nice oak trees and thought about what I would love to teach myself when I was 16 years old and starting making music. So this video is about lessons learned from the past that I would love to share with myself in the past. Maybe there are some lessons for yourself that you can take over when you just start making music. Lesson number one obviously is you always have the right gear, always. So do not consider yourself that you're missing something, but instead you should focus on the stuff and the gear and the tools that are available to you. And we are really living in a nice age where we can do most things already with a laptop or if not even a phone, and we can make some proper music. I know you can hear this anyhow on every corner, but I really mean this to everybody. And I already made a video about gear acquisition syndrome, so I don't want to dig into this topic now again. So you can always buy more gear, right? And maybe you're missing something, but really focus on what you've got. Another thing is what I like to do is to artificially reduce myself and limit myself to some gear or some tools and use them and really dig into them to really get some proper results out of that, which is also a nice exercise to really focus on some specific tools that are available. Also, don't fool yourself with discussions like DAW versus DAW-less or hardware versus software. That's really nonsense. And I mean, here on my YouTube channel, we are like in a bubble because we're talking about making music, but it's about the content that you're creating. Yeah? So don't fool yourself and trap yourself into these kind of discussions. The second thing, and this was especially for me as the 16-year-old one, get proper studio monitors, because it's so essential and so important to be able to listen exactly to what you're doing. And back then I remembered I thought better let's spend my pocket money on some tools that make new sounds instead of something that I seem to already have, but I was listening to hi-fi speakers instead of buying some proper studio monitors, which was wrong. And as a result, I was used to listen to electronic or techno music as a child already or teenager without going to the club, and didn't really have a proper feeling for bass. And then I remember in 2003 I went to Love Parade and there was this hardstyle wagon from Sunshine Live, and I just felt the bass the first time really, really loud and in my stomach. And this was amazing, but I wasn't just used to it. So I never really take care of the bass. And as a result, the bass and the kick always was my weak point in music production. Also, I had the biggest do-it-yourself subwoofer made in my village, I think, and it was really big. And because of the low resonance frequencies of this self-made subwoofer, drum and bass and hip-hop really sounded on that one good, but it wasn't really able to replicate kick and bass frequencies. So therefore, again, I was really focusing just on sub-bass, but not really on higher bass frequencies. Long story short, get proper studio monitors and do yourself a favor and just start with them as soon as you make music. Do your thing and do it regularly. Back then in 2003, it was like, okay, I'm going to export my song from the DAW, save it as an MP3 and upload it on some weird portals. And I thought like, why should I really do this? Because someone could steal my music, right? Because I didn't have any copyright on it. And so therefore I was struggling around. But these days it's completely normal, right? That you upload something on whatever portal right now fancy, and which is good. So you should use this kind of opportunity and share it with others. Also get an idea how similar artists maybe make the music, but it's not about maybe copying them. You can also try to understand and study other artists and how their sound like, how the genre sounds like that you are producing as well. And once you understand this, you can then of course break the rules and focus on your stuff, because in the end you want to do things individually, right? So do your thing, but do it regularly. And while talking about doing things, what really helped me is establishing my own system. And you have to find your own system. And by system, I mean understanding what you're doing. So I, for example, and this really works for me, yeah, I distinguish between jam sessions, when I jam around with stuff, I play around and maybe record a song. And sometimes I'm focusing really on producing tracks and getting things done. The other time I'm focusing maybe on some new gear and trying to recreate some specific sounds, or I'm mastering my demos. This is really my system. By the way, talking about mastering my demos, I already did another video about demo mastering tracks, because if you send out stuff, it really should sound comparable to other songs. And I think this is really so important, because other people just don't get it. that your song might not be finished, but really they compare it already to another finished and successful track. So have this in mind, and this is part of my system. And when talking about sending out things, also back then, the young me, what I did wrong was not really sending out stuff to people, not really having a connection to other people, not really doing any networking or sharing. And these days I became better in it, I think. But I'm also not talking just about other producers or DJs, but really also people that give you honest feedback, and not just the ones that tell you like, this is always amazing or this is always shit like what you're doing, but really that where you know you can gain some feedback from them. I think this is really helpful. But also when I'm talking about collaborating with people, you should also know like what you're not doing. And by this I mean you should know what is out of scope for yourself. I remember I was, for example, focusing and sticking too much to some specific people and was waiting for them. I thought I depend on them, but in the end they just slowed myself down and really stopped me with my momentum and the things that I really would love to do. Another stupid example was, I remember I was living together with a flatmate and he once told me, why don't I do music like David Guetta? And obviously, of course, I don't do music like David Guetta because I don't want to do music like David Guetta. So in the end, I knew for me it is out of scope for myself, but maybe not for you. But you should be aware of this. So think about what is out of scope for yourself and what you want to do and what you do not want to do. Last but not least, this is something difficult, especially for young people, but think about different perspectives. Don't see just yourself being in the middle of everything, but think of the other people and what they try to do, what their aim is and what their intention is and how you can support them with your music. So think about the other producer, think about the other DJ, think about the radio station, think about the blogger, think about YouTube, think about your audience, think about people that you right now don't have really in mind. How do they see what you're doing and how can it work, what you're doing to maybe attract their attention or maybe do something for yourself or maybe collaborating for yourself. So think about different perspectives of what you're doing. So those are the thoughts I would love to share to myself when I was younger and having someone telling me exactly the same thing. Of course, let me know what you think about those ones. I have one more thing for you, and this is the other way around, which I just discovered for myself. So I can do the same for myself in the past, but also like in the future. So imagine me doing stuff in how would it be, what am I doing in 1 year or 2 years or 5, 10, 30 years, you get the idea. And when I see myself in the future and maybe following some paths of stuff I'm doing, I already get an idea where this leads to. And maybe from that, maybe some actions or some lessons learned are already deriving and I can give those answers already to myself. Does this make sense what I'm saying? So let me know where this leads to or what you think about my ideas. And I would love to start such an interaction with you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.